Number 4, Connor Weigman, Texas A&M. By the way, shout out to Producer Harry for crushing these graphics. If you're watching on YouTube, that's all Producer Harry's work. This is number 3 QB for Mike. This is number 4 QB for Rick. I had him as number 9, but I don't think the difference is that large when we talk about the draft ranges coming up. But Mike, this is your QB3. Let's start with you. What do you like about old Connor Weigman here?
Yeah, I liked, honestly, like everything I saw. I was really high on Weigman after watching his tape. Only 3 full games, but I saw so much NFL translatability from his timing, from his decision-making, from his ability to handle pressure, which I think was the biggest one that surprised me, given, he's a true sophomore on tape last year, hadn't played a ton of football, and hung in there so well under pressure, delivered a ton of strikes, found answers anytime he needed them under pressure. I don't think physically he's anything special. I think every guy we've talked about already is probably a bigger arm than he does, is probably more imposing specimen overall. But Weigman plays the position at just a really high level. And so I'll get to my comp later, but it's a really high-end guy who played with similarly limited tools. But I just think he's a guy who's going to find answers, get the job done, and may never wow you in any way, shape, or form, but is just a darn good quarterback. And obviously this is based off a very few small sample size, and we'll get a bigger sample this upcoming fall, but not a lot of negatives that I saw from him on tape that I didn't like.
Rick, as Mike noted, played 4 games, season-ending foot injury after the first month of the season. He was actually drafted as a baseball player, so he has that background. You had him as your QB4, so you liked him too.
Yeah, I think this kid, the only thing I disagree with, I think he has a strong arm. I think he can put velocity on the ball in tight windows. I don't like, he's got an awkward throwing motion, in my opinion. It's almost like he's throwing darts at a dartboard, but the ball comes out of his hands. And I've never seen a kid out of all the guys that we talked about that takes some of the hits that he takes, and he will stand in the pocket and still deliver strikes, knowing that he's going to probably get his head taken off. He threw, the big game was, to me, that kind of jumped out a little bit, was the Miami-Florida game. I think he threw for over 300 yards that game. The New Mexico game, the Louisiana-Monroe game, you see, like, he grabs your attention now, but then Miami goes down. I believe it was down in Miami, and plays really well down there. And then the foot injury that left him out for the rest of the year. So I think this guy, for an unknown, because he only played early in the season, if he plays like he showed in those first 4 games, he's going to make a significant jump.
Yep. No, I agree with everything you guys talked about. I did note he sometimes gets a little frenetic in the pocket if his first read wasn't there. This gets to your point, Rick. He was one of the most blitzed QBs last season, but I thought he did a good job of getting the ball out, usually accurately, didn't necessarily have to set his feet, and he was incredibly tough. He can, he's not a runner, but he can, short yardage situations, he can take a hit and keep on his feet and could complete the play in the passing game. So a lot to like. I thought he had a plus arm. It was below Carson Beck for me, but it wasn't some guys we'll talk about in a second here. Mike, what's your comp? What's your draft range for Connor Weigman?
My comp for him is Kurt Warner, just based off of, like I said, nothing special from any physical perspective, like just good enough for the NFL for sure. But he wins with accuracy, with decision-making, with timing, and with being able to take hits in the pocket, and has good size too. And so that's where the Warner comp kind of came in for me, and similar, like tight, quick, short arm throwing motions.
And where do you think he gets drafted?
I mean, talking about like his range right now is kind of just, I had probably a midday 2 grade on him, but just like, it's 3 games, so his draft range is really all over the map come this upcoming fall, probably more than any guy we've talked about, or maybe we'll talk about.
All right, Rick, what do you think?
Mike coming out the gate strong, was calling him a future Hall of Famer. Put the gold jacket on him. Get the measurements out. Kurt Warner.
Just following your lead. You're going rosy glasses. I'm going rosy glasses.
Yeah, there you go. What's your
rosy? But these are like 22 dozen rosy glasses. That's like blooming all over the place. I'm not going to put him in the Hall of Fame yet. I do think this kid I really like. I still have a little bit problem with his mechanics, but I like his arm better than you guys do. I think he does have a strong arm. And some of the tight windows that he threw in and the way he was able to get the ball out as he was getting hit and still put the ball in those tight windows with some velocity, that really impressed me. So my comp, ready for this? Will Levis. Because Will Levis had a tight throwing motion. He had a strong arm, similar type athlete. Looks like this kid's built well. So I kind of went with the Will Levis comp at this time.
Okay. By the way, I think Conor has a good arm. I think he has a plus arm. I think his arm is not quite Carson Beck's arm. Do you think it's better than Carson Beck's arm?
I think it's stronger. I don't think he's as accurate, but I do think he has a strong arm. I think you guys are.
Go back and watch.
Yeah, I just some of the games I just thought that with the way this kid put velocity on the ball without having his feet planted, because he was getting killed, he was able to really put some zip on the ball.
And again, he's a baseball player. I don't know if he's a pitcher or what position he played, but he did play baseball, has that background as well. I don't know if he could have a more varied list of comps for Connor Weigman, because mine, hold on, this guy is not a Hall of Famer, I'll tell you that. And this is not meant disrespectfully. This is just the guy in my Ryan Wilson Rolodex, not quite the Rick Spielman Rolodex. Kenny Pickett.
No, God. Where are we going with our lives right now?
Kenny's a good athlete. Kenny doesn't have the arm of Connor Weigman. He's 4 games. Like Mike noted, it's hard to put a finger on the pulse of who Connor Weigman is right now because he hasn't played a lot of football. He's tough. Kenny Pickett's tough. I'll give him that. And beyond that, we just sort of have to wait and see. Rick, did you say draft range?
No. I put him in a second round right now. But if he plays a full season like he did those first 4 games, I can see him going in the first round.
Okay, yeah, I said late day 2, early day 3 now, just because who knows? And he may return to school for all we know, but this is the conversation we're having. Kenny Pickett, Kurt Warner, Will Levis.
That's a wide variety.
That is a wide variety. Not quite.
Producer Harry, put that up there for the straw poll.
The straw poll. And I forgot to do this because I always forget to do this when we do summer scouting. But I'll circle back quickly. Sure, Sanders games to watch, Baylor, and then Utah. Quinn Ewers games to watch at Michigan September 7th. That'll be fun. At Oklahoma in October, and then Georgia. And then Connor Weigman games to watch. Notre Dame to open things up. And LSU later in the season.